Hey guys, today I want to give you a quick update for my Poison Rogue. So many of you have asked me in the comments, what do I think about Poison Rogue after the recent patch? So if you didn't know yet, after in the last patch, the bursting Venoms aspect got nerfed or bug fixed. So it was bugged all the time and it was procking way too often. And now it works as intended and is procking way less. So the question remains, what is the best Poison Rogue right now? I have uploaded already 2 gameplay videos of 2 different Poison Rogue builds. So my recent one is something I call my new Poison Grenadier Rogue. And it's just a new iteration of mine for the Poison Rogue archetype. So I have tested many things. And my first goal was to make Poison Rogue much faster and agile. So I wanted to test if I could build something similar like the Barber rogue, so very fast rogue with much movement and speed. And also my first idea was to play with momentum passive, so without death trap and exposure and preparation, but with combo points and momentum, for example. And I just wanted to test the new bursting venoms aspect, like how often does it proc. And well, it seems that it's procking way less now, obviously. And I even tried the new pestilent aspect, which makes puncture also poison imbued every third attack. But for me at least, it seems that it's just not enough to get consistent procs out of bursting venoms. So even if I put a lot of lucky hit chance and play with pestilent, the pestilent aspect, for me it was just not enough to proc this aspect consistently. So it happened quite a lot of times that I was not able to activate my bursting venoms, and I just had to wait 10 or 11 seconds to use my next poison imbuement. So the gameplay felt very slow because of this, and I just didn't like it at all. So that's why I first went back to my stealth trapper version of Poison Rogue. So like it's very old school rogue already. So here I'm playing with concealment and poison traps. So yeah, it's like the rogue I recommended you already 1 month before the season. And yeah, it works it works just fine, it works very well. But it's the big disadvantage of this build is just it's very slow. You need to lay down all your poison traps. So I know a lot of people enjoy this playstyle, and so if you like playing with poison traps, good news for you. I think this poison build is very strong after the recent patch, just because here we are playing with the exposure passive and with our preparation specialization. And this allows us to spam poison imbuement all the time, because every time we use our death trap ultimate, we will reset all the other cooldowns on our skill bar, so we can reuse poison imbuement immediately after casting death trap. And the death trap cooldown is very small because of the exposure passive and our preparation. So this synergy is very good for resetting poison imbuement. But I wanted to make this build a little bit more faster, and that's why I came up with this poison grenadier rogue. So I just replaced poison trap with smoke grenade on the skill bar, and this just allows us to have a slightly more dynamic and more forward playstyle. So you don't need to lay down all these poison traps. You just engage immediately with the smoke grenade, and you immediately freeze the enemies around you. So it's just a bit more fast, more dynamic, and that's something I really enjoyed. So for me personally, the Poison Grenadier Rogue is a bit more fun than the Poison Stealth Rogue. But Poison Stealth Rogue, especially if you're playing on Eternal Realm, is, I think, the best poison build there. And also, I actually have another alternative for you. So I also made a version with dash. So this version with dash is by far the fastest poison rogue build right now that I can imagine. And instead of smoke grenade, we are playing with dash and the quickening fog aspect. And so this aspect also kind of drops smoke grenades at the end of dash and reduces our cooldown of dash. So we are doing kind of the same as with smoke grenade on our skill bar, together with the other aspect which says that grenade skills are counted as trap skills. We can proc our exposure passive this way, also very consistently. And this is just an alternative for the Grenadier Rogue. And obviously the big advantage is you are much faster, so with dash you can dash through the enemies and through the map much quicker. But you just need to keep some things in mind. So your positioning is very crucial with this build, so your dashes need to be quite perfect. So you really need to dash into the group of enemies where you want the smoke grenade to happen. Because otherwise you won't proc your exposure passive as good. And also the biggest disadvantage of this build for me is that during the boss fights, so I can show you the boss fight quickly, you need to consistently use dash, so every 3 or 4 seconds you need to cast dash on the boss, otherwise you won't proc your exposure passive that good, that well. So that was one disadvantage of this build. So during the boss fights I would prefer to have smoke grenades on my skill bar. It would be much more convenient. So that's something that annoyed me. And also another problem is this version, it feels very similar to Barber Rogue actually, so that's obviously something I wanted to achieve in the beginning. But then I have to say Barber Rogue is, like compared to Poison Rogue, Barber Rogue feels much more OP and more powerful overall. So I can only recommend you playing Poison Rogue if you really enjoy this poison build, this poison architecture archetype. But otherwise, just on raw power level, Barber Rogue is, I believe, much stronger than Poison Rogue. And this version felt very similar to Barber Rogue, but just not as powerful as Barber. So for me, I kind of enjoy more the Grenadier Poison Rogue without dash and just with smoke grenade on the skill bar. And it just feels more unique to me. So it feels more like you're playing something, unique, something own. So that's not the reason. But if you want more movement speed and you want the fastest Poison Rogue build in the world, then I think this is the Poison Rogue for you. And I will show you my planner after this. So we can just open here. So on my Poison Grenadier Rogue, I have in the description I have this Maxtroll GG, my planner. And here I have all the different rogue builds. So I have the Dash Rogue I just showed you. And I also have 2 versions of Grenadier Rogue. One is doing slightly more damage, and Grenadier Tank has up to 3000 more life. So very tanky. And here you can have a look at all the gear. And on the skills, so I think like if you compare this to my old school stealth trapper poison rogue, I didn't change much, I think. I'm playing with Ashira's Kanjar now for the additional lucky chance and attack speed. I think I'm playing with Shared Misery now instead of Noxious Eyes. But yeah, the rest should be the same. Also, obviously, since we're not playing with Poison Trap but with Smoke Grenade, instead of the Infiltrators aspect, I'm playing with the Explosive Verve aspect now. So grenade skills count as trap skills, and this will proc our Exposure passive. So yeah, we are playing with Exposure. Like I said, this is the best way to play with Poison Imbuement right now, and also with Bursting Venoms. And yeah, these are my skills. You can also take a look by yourself. And I'm not playing with many critical strike chance passives, so I'm not playing with precision imbuement, I'm not playing with trap mastery. And the reason for that is simply that bursting venoms is not as needed anymore. So exposure passive and preparation is just enough to reset our poison imbuement every combat, like 4 times or more. So bursting venoms is just a nice addition for boss fights. So if we can proc it during boss fight, it makes the fight more fast. So yeah, that's the only reason for bursting venoms, and maybe also during some elite pack fights. But we could also theoretically replace poison imbuement completely, just because yeah, we don't need it that much. So yeah, you could also try and replace it. But for now I keep it for the boss fights, especially like I mentioned. But you don't really need much critical strike chance, because yeah, we just don't need this aspect that much. So that's why I have 42% for my gear, it's just enough. I also don't have additional critical strike damage because poison imbuement doesn't scale with critical strike damage. So yeah, and the Paragon board. Also, I'm very happy with the Paragon. I'm playing with versatility now in the starter board, so I tested versatility again, and it seems that it increases your poison damage by 15%. So my first testing, I was wrong. Yeah, I tested this again, and it works as it should. So yeah, very good glyph for Poison Rogue. I'm playing with Devious Glyph on the tricks on the trade board, very efficient pathing here. I'm playing with Diminish on Cunning Stratagem board. Also, I'm taking all the core skill damage nodes I can take, because core skill damage is very powerful with Poison Imbuement. You can watch my core skill damage video for that. So it seems that where is it here? It seems that core skill damage is its own multiplier within the poison imbuement damage scaling. So core skill damage together with cutthroat skill damage are its own damage bucket. So it's very good to scale poison damage. That's why we want to take as many nodes as possible. Then Control Glyph and Exploit Weakness board, also very efficient glyph pathing here. Then my recent board I started liking is No Witness, so we get a lot of maximum life and all damage together with efficiency glyph here, and all damage also is kind of doubled up within the poison imbuement damage formula, so you can simply multiply this by 2, so very good. And cheap shot, I play with closer glyph, take all the good notes here. And the last board, Deadly Ambush with the exploit glyph, very important for making the enemies vulnerable. So yeah, very nice Paragon board, very efficient, and takes all the legendary nodes that are good for poison imbuement scaling. The only legendary node we are missing is the Eldritch legendary node. But this is the poison due to the Grenadier tank build, and in the Grenadier damage build I'm playing with Eldritch Bounty. But like I said, I have much less life, so I prefer the Grenadier tank version with more life. So yeah, these are my different poison rogue builds. If you want to play, like if you enjoy the stealth trapper version more, so with poison traps, just go on my on this video here, and I also have a planner here. Then you will find the updated build for my poison trap, poison rogue, and like I said, Barber rogue. In my opinion, right now is the best archetype in the game. So if you want to check out the Barber rogue build, just go on my Barber rogue update video or on my Barber rogue speed farm where I clear Sarad's lair. So I also have a max roll planner here, and this is my updated version of the Barber rogue build. In my opinion, the best build right now in the game. And yeah, also be prepared for my next videos. I already switched to a ranged rogue and uploaded this Eaglehorn rogue gameplay. So I'm playing with a penetrating shot right now. It's a lot of fun. And so if you're interested in ranged rogue builds, then stay tuned. I will make a lot of ranged rogue guides in the future. So yeah, if you're interested in that, then leave me a subscription, like my videos if you enjoy my content. And I hope this video was helpful, and have a nice day, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.